Hi there, my name is Cindy and this is Snacks and Stacks, where I like to talk about books, TV shows, and movies. And for today, I'd like to talk and share with you some books that I think are perfect for mood reading in the fall, as well as my, I think most people call it 10 before the end, but I have about 12 books here that I'd like to read by the end of the year. So I thought I would just mash those two together for today's video. For my fall recommendations, these are probably more September, October books. By November, when the weather really starts getting crispy and really cold, I might have more recommendations for that. But a lot of the ones I'm recommending are cozy reads, and I'm thinking maybe in October specifically, I want to have a video that pinpoints more like paranormal kind of spooky reads. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. Either leave a comment with like a spooky witchy emoji so I know that that's something you guys would like to see. I normally don't like to self-plug too much, but I also wanted to share and remind people that I do have a bookstagram, and it's at _snacks&stacks. I'm trying to also, post things there as well. So I'd love the support if you can. Let's get started with some of the fall recommendations. First, I have this completed series of The Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. This is going to be the first book in the trilogy called The Darker Shade of Magic. We follow a man named Kels, and he has this ability to go between different Londons. We have Grey London, which is dirty and boring without any magic. And then there's Red London, where life and magic are revered. And White London, a city slowly being drained through magical war down to its very bones. And a very long time ago, there was a Black London. And Kel is a traveler who goes between each of these Londons to kind of play as a messenger, and he actually also smuggles goods from one London to another, which is illegal. And because of that, he gets into a little bit of trouble. I really enjoyed this series. I enjoyed the audiobook for this series as well, if you are an audiobook reader as I am. And I thought that the characters are a lot of fun to follow. They go through a lot. There's a lot of growth for each of the characters, and I personally think that it's a very imaginative and very cool magic system. The next book I had to sneak a manga in here. This is called Hat Atelier. I've only read book 1, which is the one I'm holding now. It's about a little girl who wants to be a magician, but was always told that it's something that you're kind of born with, not something that can be taught to you. And one day she kind of watches a witch do their magic and realizes that that might not be the truth. And because of this, she kind of gets roped into this magical world. I really want to read this. It's not on my 10 before the end, but it'll probably get snuck in there because I was able to find a couple of these used, so I did buy them. And my library only had volume 1, which is so sad. But the artwork is so beautiful. It's so intricate, and it's definitely unique in the world of manga. I really, really want to give this a shot, and I do recommend you to read at least the first one and see if you like it. I think people who grew up loving like Magical Girls or Sabrina the Teenage Witch or Sailor Moon would probably really enjoy a book like this. So I can't talk about cozy fall time without talking about Legends and Lattes. We also have Bookshops and Bone Dust, which is downstairs. I just couldn't carry everything up here, but I can also put a picture up here of the prequel, which is Bookshops and Bone Dust, and then there's a sequel coming out, which I have a video about as well, and I'll link that, and that is called Brigands and Bread Knives. All 3 of these books are very cozy. Those titles are going to be more cozy adventure, and I think those are almost good anytime, but Legends and Lattes in particular, I think is very special for fall, especially the beginning of fall, because in this book, Viv, the orc, she has retired from being a mercenary and is opening a coffee shop. And we have so many wonderful descriptions of entrepreneurship, first of all, but second of all, food and the coffee and the smells. And I just feel like if you're a Gilmore Girls girly who also loves fantasy, you would love Legends and Lattes. We're just hanging out with a coffee shop entrepreneur who is, you know, doing a change in her life, and she's meeting all these new friends in this new place and all these people coming together to help her and her coffee shop succeed. Of the three, if you can't tell, Legends and Lattes is my favorite because I love the vibes of the tavern-y coffee shop, and I just think Travis Baldree does a fantastic job. I haven't listened to this one particularly, but after listening to Brigands and Bread Knives, that is also narrated by the author, I really want to go back and see if I can just listen to this first one sometime this fall as well, because it's just so much fun. The next one is a very cozy witch romance, but I think it's more of a fiction book. It's romance, but it's not all romance, which is what's lovely about it. So this is called The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Madana. This follows a young witch in our world where witches are here, but they have to keep it a secret. And the more they kind of hang out together, the more they become like close to another, like weird things start happening. So they only meet so often. And that makes it so that our main character, Mika, she decides to go to this school. Or is it a school? It's more like a house. It's a house where there are these young witches and they don't have any idea what's going on. They don't know how to become witches. There's like no teacher for them for the witch part, and she decides to help them. And so it's a very cute story of just Mika helping these three little girls, and then the other teachers that are there trying to protect these little girls as well. And of course, she and one of the guy teachers are going to fall in love. It's very cute. It's very cozy, very witchy, and like fun and just warm. And I think you can probably get through this in like a day or two. Speaking of magic and fun, and when we were talking about baking, I can't not recommend A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking. This is one of my favorite books, probably of all time. I think about it a lot. I also think about it with my son because I read this to him probably a couple years ago when I was still reading to him. And we just had the best time with this book. It's about a 14-year-old Mona who is a wizard. But in this world, you are a wizard in a specific thing, I guess. It could be something as cool as fire or water, but it could also just be in baking. And so what she's good at is talking to dough and telling it to be perfectly airy or don't be dry, or, you know, like she kind of like massages the dough and like works her magic into the dough. And for some reason, she becomes one of the main defenders of her little town. And because of this, she has then to make like these golems, and she already can make like these little gingerbread dance and stuff, but she ends up having to reinforce her magic in a way to make bread fight. And it's so much fun, but I love how it doesn't stray away from Mona being 14 and her being like, where are the adults? Why am I doing this? I just think that there's so much in here that is so fantastic, and I loved the audiobook as well. And yeah, I just think this is a great book, especially for that October time when you're really feeling like Halloween wizardy magic. And last but not least, Water Moon by Samantha Soto Yambo. I got this super pretty copy at the bookstore. This is an Illumicrate edition. I got it from Second & Charles. I felt very, very lucky to have found it because I was about to order it on Pango, but you know, the shipping and stuff kind of sucks. And then I found it and I was like, oh my god, I must have it. I must. It's a gorgeous edition. It's got such beautiful, just beautiful artwork. Naked hardback has like these crayons. So yeah, aside from the book being beautiful and having many beautiful editions, even the regular edition is very cool. You can like fold the hardcover paperback into a boat, which is significant in the story. It's such a cool like book, aside from the story within it. But what is this about? This is a very hard book to explain, and what I've found is you're either going to love it or you're going to be like, what the am I reading? This is about a woman who gets passed down this pawn shop, but it's not a regular pawn shop. People who enter into this pawn shop doesn't always feel like they're even looking for this pawn shop. They're actually looking for the ramen store that's probably like right in front. However, if you feel like you have regrets, you can go into this pawn shop and trade in your regret for something else. So you can like forget about it. You can basically sell it. This daughter has been raised by her father to take over this pawn shop, and the day she's to take it over, her father goes missing. So instead of doing things as usual, she decides that she needs to find her dad. At the same time of deciding this, a man walks into the pawn shop and is like, where am I? And because of this, they both go on to this really weird, far-fetched adventure together, and they try to find her dad. The reason why I say it's either you like really enjoy it or you're just like, what? Is because there's not like a clear ground for you to sit on or stand on. And it's very in the air. It's very magical realism to like the point where it's like the perfect point for me, because I thought it was very cool. You're always moving, you're always going from one to another. There's always things happening and you're like, I'm not really sure what's going on. But that can be very unsettling. And the relationship that forms between the male and the female, it can feel a little forced at times, but I don't know, I really enjoyed it, so there's that. I felt that it is perfect for those who love like Studio Ghibli, but in a way where it's because Studio Ghibli can be kind of odd. There's different levels of Studio Ghibli, and I would say this feels much more like Boy and the Heron and maybe even a little bit like Spirited Away, where you're just following along and you're trying to unravel what is going on, but there's just something that's like a little creepy and a little scary in the tone of the book. So I would love to see if more people read it and enjoy it. I think it's really cool and very unique and an interesting concept. There's a lot of interesting things happening in this book, and I think it's perfect for this time of year because it's kind of weird and interesting. Okay, so now for my dozen before the end. I wanted to pick 10, but it was very hard, so I just picked a dozen. I just picked 2 more, it's not that bad. I want to start off with books that I'm already currently reading that I obviously want to get done by the end of the year. I am currently reading Erased: What American Patriarchy Has Hidden From Us. This is very shiny. I'll put it up here. This is a nonfiction book, and nonfiction books usually take me a while to get through. I'm about halfway through right now. This is by Anna Malika Tubbs, and she has written a book that basically talks to us and tells us how a lot of things that are happening to women in the United States is because of white men and how they want to rule the world. This book is basically about how American laws, American culture, and American, like, what's normal here and what is being passed as normal actually really suppresses females and also just any other gender but your white male, your typical white male. And so it's been difficult to read at times because the last thing you want to read about is how everything around you is meant to make you feel smaller. But it's also just a hard book because, you know, some of the things she talks about, you don't even realize were things that were affecting you. Or I didn't. I shouldn't say you. I should say me. I didn't realize was actually affecting me in a way that would put other people up on a pedestal. It makes me sit back and think, how many things do I think are normal day to day, but are actually placed there to slowly take away my identity or my rights as being like as free as I can be. And not just myself, but anybody who doesn't fit this typical mold. How is that hurting us as a whole, as an American country, as a person, as a people, I should say. And so, you know, that's why it's taking me a bit to get through, but I definitely want to finish this book and then tell you all about it. The next book I'm in the middle of is this chunky guy. I was supposed to finish this in the summertime, but I didn't get to it until maybe just a few weeks ago, and so I'm only like 10% in. I've been trying my best, but it's an ongoing battle because I also have arcs and other things I want to read and finish as well. Since I'm just getting into the NetGalley arc game, I really want to make sure my score is like nice. I've got like a good amount to read, and I'm trying to read a little bit every day, but it's really hard when my brain is telling me I have to read arcs and stuff, which takes me to the next book I have to read, which is an arc. It's called Wheel of Wrath by A.A. Vora. This is the second book to A Spin of Fate by A.A. Vora. It's supposed to be released in November, so I'm going to either read it at the end of September or early October, so then I can get my thoughts together, get it done, and post about it. Because I want to do this as best as I can. Number 4 is this book. It's called Apprentice to the Villain. It's second book. The third book's out. I even bought it. The story about this book is I was passing it back and forth with my friend. I jokingly said that she held it hostage. We were trying to like leave notes for each other as we're reading. It was a great idea, but I think the two of us just love reading like quickly. So it just got weird, and we couldn't quite get it. So she finished the book. Now I have to finish the book. However, I have forgotten half the book. So I do have this on hold. I'm going to listen to it to the point at least that I am at, and then I will finish this. So this is another book I need to finish. The next 4 books are books with specific prompts from the 52-book challenge that I'm doing this year, and I'm almost done. I only have like 5 or 6 slots left, but I do have 4 prompts that I need to finish by the end of the year. One is a storybook retelling, and I want to do the House of Salt and Sorrows for that. This is a retelling of the 12 Dancing Sisters, which I only know from the Barbie movie. So this will be fun. I've also put this on so many fall TBRs. I need to get to this because I just do. It's been sitting here like, read me. And then it'll be February and I'm like, I gotta wait till the fall. So it's happening this year. The next one, the prompt is like, it has something to do with a puzzle on the cover. And so this is perfect. This is puzzle pieces all over. This is called The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. The only thing I know about this is that Chelsea from Libraries and Lattes have been talking about it a lot, and she's been loving this series. I think it's like a YA serial killer or FBI or mystery. Looks like it's about cold cases and solving them. I have read The Inheritance Games by this author, and I liked it. I liked the first book the most. and then I gradually did not like it. So I am curious to see if I will feel how I will feel about this series, or at least the start. The next prompt I have is a book, an author that publishes more than once a year, and I have a couple of ideas for this one. I could read something by Brandon Sanderson. He publishes a lot all the time, so I was thinking about maybe rereading either Tress or Yumi from last year because I had a great time and I kind of want like a nice comforting reread. However, I also could read T. Kingfisher books because she also publishes a lot in one year. And I have one that's been sitting on my shelf called A Sorceress Comes to Call, which is another retelling as well, for which I can't remember. Goose Girl, maybe? There's gooses. So yeah, that is also a choice. I'm gonna put it on my little TBR shelf and see if I get to it. And then the next very specific prompt is called Latin American History, a book with that in it. And I have this on my shelf called The Great Divide by Cristina Henrique. This is a literary fiction book. I believe it is about the Panama Canal, and that's all I really know about it. This might have been a book that I ordered because I like the cover. So yeah. Then the rest are just books that I really want to pick up. I really want to pick up every book that I haven't read on my bookshelf, but I have to like focus a little bit. So these are some hopefuls that I'm hoping to get to by the end of the year. We have A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. I just think this will be a fun little weekend book because it's pretty short. I have The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst. I have, like many probably do, Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. She's a big one though, but I think she might be fun. It's about sapphic vampires. And then I've been trying to also read some of my classics or the classics. And I was looking at my shelf what I have that would be considered classics I haven't read, and Howl's Moving Castle was one of them. I did just get the whole Fairy Loot trilogy, so I have read this when I was little. I remember liking it, but I don't remember reading the sequels. So in order to read the sequels, I need to reread the first one. And so that will be part of my dozen before the end as well, is just picking this up and going into that series. Those are the books that I'm planning on reading for the rest of the year, as well as books that I think are fun for fall. Let me know if you have any recommendations. Have you read any of these? What should I pick up first? Do you agree with my fall recommendations? Let's chat in the comments and hang out on Instagram together. And happy snacking, happy reading, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.